So, you've got a few bald spots in your lawn and you're trying to figure out how to fix those? Well, today I'm going to show you a simple trick that can help you beat the odds of getting new seed to germinate in those bald spots. So let's check it out. So today we're going to be fixing some bald spots in the lawn that we had from our renovation process, where we planted all new grass seed, and then unfortunately we had a couple of big rainstorms that washed a bunch of that seed away. So we've got some repairing to do. Now this process is simple, but it can work for numerous applications. If you've got a spot in your yard that's maybe been damaged by your dog or heavy traffic or anything like that, any place that you're trying to get seed to start growing and filling in, but you're having a hard time with it. This process is going to kind of cheat the germination cycle a little bit and allow you to place the seed in the ground once it's already just starting to germinate, so that you don't have as big of a window of time for Mother Nature or any other elements to affect the chances of your seed germinating. So we're going to pre-germinate the seed today, and it's a simple process. To keep it as easy as possible, I'm going to be using this Scott's lawn soil. This already has starter fertilizer built into it, so there's no need for that extra step of fertilizing. And it says water smart on it, which it's going to help it retain moisture a little bit longer. So what we're going to do to get started, we'll need the lawn soil, whatever seed you're going to use. This will work for any kind of grass. A little bit of water and just a shovel to help sort of mix things up here a little bit. So we'll start with the soil. Now I'm going to do this in this Gorilla cart today. You don't have to have, you can use a wheelbarrow, you can use a 5-gallon bucket, any sort of vessel to just hold stuff in. It doesn't really matter what it is, as long as it's watertight, basically. So we're going to start with opening this bag of soil up. Just kind of break up any of these clumps. Now you're going to want to save that bag from the soil, because we're going to use it to cover this all up once we're done, to help lock some of the moisture in for a little bit longer. Now you want to make sure you don't get whatever you're using to hold all your dirt in, whether it's a wheelbarrow or one of these Gorilla carts or a bucket so full that you can't get in here and get all this mixed up. So I've got all the clumps in here pretty well broken up. So what we're going to do is we're going to layer this seed in here, toss it for a little while, and then we're going to start adding a little bit of water to it, just to moisten it up a bit. So I've got about 4 pounds of seed left here that I saved back from when I seeded my lawn. And we're just going to dump this in here. Start mixing it in as best as we can. This is going to give us great seed to soil contact for our first beginning process of germinating this seed. Now, how long we let this sit in this dirt mixture before we spread it on the lawn is going to depend based on what kind of grass seed you're planting. I recommend that you look up the germination rate for your specific variety of grass seed that you're using, how long it takes it to start germinating, and then about a day before you hit that mark is when you're going to spread this. So this is perennial ryegrass. Typically, in ideal conditions, it can generate in anywhere from 3 to 5 days. So I'm going to start watching this very closely once we're hitting that 3-day mark. And what you'll be looking for is just take a look at the grass seeds themselves. They should be swelling up and getting ready to kind of pop, I guess, right before they're going to start sprouting. So, and if you don't catch it in time and it's started to sprout, and even if you're seeing little bits of green leaf blades coming up, that's okay. Just throw it out on the lawn. It's still going to take into the ground. Now, once you're happy with how well incorporated all this grass seed is into here, we're going to add just a little bit of water. You don't want to overdo this part and make this a mud mess. Just enough to get things to start to stick together as you grab a handful of it. See, this is just falling right back apart. We want that to just sort of barely clump up a tiny, tiny bit. So we're going to add a little water in here. And go slow with this part. Don't go dumping a ton of water in all at once, and it's going to be a little bit different for everybody how much water they put in. Water. This is a pretty fun process to do. Kind of takes you back to being a kid playing in the mud. Even though we're not making mud here, we're just making wet, damp dirt. Alright, so this is starting to look pretty good to me. If I take a handful now and squeeze it, it kind of stays together just a little bit, but then still breaks up. That's exactly what you're looking for right there. Not overly damp that it stays in a clod, just enough that it'll start to hold its shape, but then break apart very easily. That's perfect. Now, once you've got this smoothed out pretty well in your tub or bucket or wheelbarrow, whatever you're using to do this in, you're going to take the bag that the soil came in and just lay that on top, and that's going to help trap some of this moisture in here so that we don't have to keep coming back and adding water over the next few days. This is going to go in my garage. You can put it in your shed or wherever is convenient for you. Just know that you need to check back on it every day or so and watch these grass seeds for when they're just about to start germinating, and that's when we're going to spread it on the lawn. So for perennial ryegrasses, I'm going to say really start keeping a close eye on it at about the 3-day mark. Tall fescues, probably the 4 or 5 day mark. Start keeping an eye on it. Something like a Kentucky bluegrass that takes a bit longer, I'd start watching at about the 7-day mark, and it may pop up at 7 days, or it may pop up at 10 or 12 days, but that's going to allow you those first 10 or 12 days to sort of beat Mother Nature, since this is in a controlled environment where the water's not going to wash it away from the rain or the sprinkler system or whatever is causing your problems. Dogs aren't going to get to it, etc. So this will stay in my garage just how it is. And we'll come back when we're ready to throw this down on the yard. All right, guys, so we're back. It has been 3 days since we put all this grass seed in here, and we are starting to see, I don't know if this will show up on camera, but some of these seeds have already started to sprout, and they're sending out little kind of hairy looking bits off of them. So I can get one here. And that's even actually a little bit of a root that's shooting out of that one. So this has been exactly 3 days that this has been sitting in the garage. So we're gonna get this spread across the yard now so that this can start germinating further into grass. So here in the front also, that big rainstorm we had washed a lot of the seed out of this area right here. So we've got some thin spots in the front to deal with as well. So this method of pre-germinating the seed is really going to help with getting the seed on the ground and getting it established before the weather has a chance to take it out again. So this is pretty simple. All you're going to do from this point forward really is just go find a bald spot or a bare patch and throw some of this pre-germinated seed mixture on the ground right there, and just kind of tap it in place a little bit. And then you're going to want to keep this moist still, just as if you were doing regular grass seed, until this has a chance to finish germinating and you see green coming up. Then you can switch back to your normal regular watering schedule. Now you do want to make sure, if you're putting this in areas where there is a little bit of good grass that's growing up, that you're not completely covering that grass and matting it down and choking it out. So I like to just kind of toss it in kind of lightly. I don't do this with a big shovel or anything like that. Obviously, if it's a huge bare spot, you can do that, but I like to just get it in here just enough to start going. But you want to make sure that you're still allowing that good grass that's there to come up through this. Well guys, the tub is now empty, and I completely underestimated how much of that I was gonna need, because we didn't even get the front yard done with that much. I should have known it's not very much dirt that I had that all mixed into. This is a really good method for, you know, if you just got a couple of dog pee spots or something like that to fix in. But for an overall, you know, thin area repair, you kind of need a lot more dirt as the carrier for all that seed to fill in those spots. So we did get the majority of this bald spot right here filled in pretty well, and then a couple other random little areas throughout the lawn. So I do have some more seed that I can put on the lawn. I have a whole nother 25-pound bag, which is probably what I'm going to end up doing, is going back over all of the thin areas and filling those in as best as I can with just bare seed, and then keeping that moist the normal way that we would. I have another bale of peat moss, so we can cover that seed up with the peat moss still. But for the rest of the lawn, I guess it's kind of cool. It's going to give us an opportunity to see how quickly this comes in, pre-germinating it versus just throwing new seed down. So I'm not going to film me doing the whole new seed and peat moss thing in the rest of the areas. You've all seen that before when I did the whole renovation process. But the next step that you want to do is you want to still keep this moist, just like you would with regular grass seed. So I'm going to get this watered in pretty well, and then I'm going to continue my watering schedule here for about another week or so while this is starting to establish, before I start to taper my water back in. So just like normal, you don't want to totally soak this in. To where it's going to create puddles or anything. You just want to keep it wet. And it is a hot day today. It's about 80 degrees. That's pretty crooked there, isn't it, huh? There. That's a little better. So it is about 80 degrees today. I do see a fair amount of stress on the lawn right now, so I really don't want to be on this too much. But this little dose of water it's all getting will certainly help with that a little bit, help cool it off. All right. Oh, there she is. Nice and watered in. Come back out in a couple hours, hit it again. Actually, once I get a little more seed spread into these other thin areas right here, I don't know how well it's going to take. Actually, I need to come, I forgot about this little bit down here I put. But after I get a little bit of seed in there and some of those other thin spots, then I'll just kick the watering, the irrigation system back on. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. There it is. If you found this video helpful and you want to see how this turns out, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can come back and check it out. And if you know somebody that this may be helpful for, share this video with them. I'd appreciate it very much. Thank you guys as always, and get outside and get your lawn to the next level. Bye.